What if you were the first woman in your family to say no more struggle, no more silence, no more shrinking to fit?
We value ourselves based on the achievement.
Yeah.
Oh, well, I'm not worthy, I haven't achieved that.
Ching-He Huang, MBE, was raised and challenged, yet healed in the kitchen. She didn't just change her life, she changed her family's legacy.
There are many facets to cooking, and each of them are valid.
This conversation is for every woman who feels like she's starting late, but knows deep down that she is the cycle breaker.
To be still alive at, mid-40s, having family around you, these are all things that actually make us put things into perspective.
And just when you think you've heard it all, just wait for 3 words that changed Ching's life and can change yours. Ching, I am so happy to have you with me today. Do you know, before we start, I have to say, I feel so proud when I'm just doing my thing on a Saturday, turn on the TV, and there you are. The beautiful Ching. Thank you for being here today.
Oh, thanks for having me, Jo.
Oh, it's so lovely to have you. And when I see you doing your thing, I know that this started from a little girl in her kitchen, watching her grandma make dumplings. I mean, even just the start of that little story is so warm and comforting. Can you just talk us through that little, that beginning story for you?
Flashbacks, of my grandmother cooking in her kitchen, wielding, her 2 gigantic woks on a wood-fired burner. That's my fondest memories of growing up with my grandmother. She was a wok mistress, badass, wok boss.
Oh, wow.
She, would cook anything. She could cook anything and everything. She would make things, magical things, delicious tonics and soups from dried ingredients we had fresh from the farm, but they would be dehydrated. Bamboo everywhere, because we had a bamboo farm, whether it's drying the ingredients in the sun, from bamboo shoots to orange peel, because we also had an orangery, to dispatching chicken, gutting fish, shouting at my grandfather, why didn't he bring back the freshest tofu? Okay. She can tell just by the smell and the way that it's in the water. So those were my fondest memories. And I was only 5, but they left a huge imprint on me.
Am I right as well, Ching, that Mum was away, Dad couldn't cook, and you had to step up a little bit? Is that right?
Yeah. So in a nutshell, I grew up in Taiwan, in southern Taiwan. It's very norm to have the grandparents look after you at that age. And then my world literally turned upside down. My parents emigrated to South Africa. So then we went there for my dad's work, and then we moved from South Africa to London. So twice immigrants before the age I was 11.
Right, okay.
And South Africa was interesting. Was apartheid times, quite turbulent.
Okay.
And we fled that to come to the UK. And then I was in, school. I was, in North London, private school. I thought, what is this country? The smell of bacon and jam and toast and baked beans. I kind of fell in love. But soon after that, because we emigrated in 1989 and 1990, there was the economic recession in the UK. And overnight, everything that my father built with his business in South Africa just fell apart overnight in the UK.
Right.
So it's a huge financial burden. My brother and I were both in private school. Unfortunately, my mum decided to go back to Taiwan to work. My father here, because they had an import-export business.
Right.
Long story short, it was tough. My dad couldn't cook. I ended up having to do a lot of the cooking. My mum would teach me, basics, and then she would go back to Taiwan. So I grew up cooking for my dad.
Okay.
And that's how I learned. And I was, 11, 12, and then 13. And then my god sister, she would come in sometimes and teach me, her delicious stir-fried glass noodles,
Okay.
and occasionally babysit when my dad was also working. It was hard times, actually. I didn't want to really be the cook. My brother was in boarding school.
When cooking feels like a chore, it takes the love out of it. So did you love cooking right from day dot, or in those early years, did it feel a little bit like a chore, like something that you had to quickly learn and you had to do, or did you just love it from the beginning?
Do you know, at the beginning, I thought, as every kid
Yeah.
thinks, oh, well, okay, well, I can just do some scrambled eggs. Oh, that's how you make it. The first time you make anything, you feel pretty excited by it, especially if it turns out well. And so there were moments like that. But then, you know what it's like? I ended up being a parent for my dad. I ended up cooking every night. When you're doing it every night, it became a bit of a chore for many years. I thought, gosh, lucky, my brother's at boarding school, and I'm here left to, to be a parent.
Yeah. But little did you know that it was in those moments that the magic was coming together.
Well, I just wanted to be with my friends. I just
Okay.
wanted to go out and have fun. But it wasn't until much later that I actually fell in love with cooking, because then I was really cooking for myself.
Okay.
And I was exploring. So I have a love-hate affair with cooking.
Oh, this is interesting because I think we all get to a point sometime where we're just like, the last thing I want to do tonight is cook. Like I just can't bear it, even if you love cooking. And before you came in, I was like, I must ask Ching, does she ever have days where she thinks, I don't feel like cooking, or does she just love cooking every single day? So tell me, love, hate, I'm intrigued.
Okay, like everyone.
Yeah.
Right. I'm the same.
Okay.
I also have those moments. I cannot be bothered to cook dinner tonight. And normally
I'm really excited to hear that. So I'm going to remember that the next time that I don't feel like cooking. I'm like, well, Ching doesn't cook some nights.
Well, there you go.
Yeah, go on, tell me.
You're entitled to feel however you feel.
Yeah.
This is how I approach things. I mean, obviously, cooking is my career as well. So that's a different element. So literally, I'm cooking to sustain myself. It's a job.
Yeah.
But when I'm at home and I have to feel happy and energized to cook.
Okay.
Because to me, cooking is not only my art, but also I'm imparting energy. There are many facets to cooking, and each of them are valid. I mean, I just remember my grandmother, she would make her 粽子 dumplings, these beautiful bamboo wrapped glutinous rice parcels. You would love them.
My mouth's literally watering every time we talk about food. Go on, carry on.
And they're just beautiful. They're usually made for the Dragon Boat Festival.
Right.
And it's a labor of love because she's there making hundreds and hundreds to give to the neighbors, to give to my great aunts and uncles, to feed all of us. So, and it takes days to prepare.
What's in them, Ching?
You've got to wash the bamboo leaves and then make sure they are, really clean because they're out in the elements. Then you put them through a big wok and you boil them to pas blanche them. Then you take them out. Then you dry them. Then you get raw rice, glutinous rice, it's sticky rice. And depending how every family has a slight different way of making it. But she would, literally kind of toast the rice. By the way, wash the rice really well. Then toast the rice in a wok with Chinese 5 spice. So the aromatics really infuse into every grain. And then she would take that out, lift it to the side. She would then braise, pork belly. But before braising pork belly, there's a whole process to that because you have to prepare it. You have to, slice the pork belly in all the right size. Then you have to pas blanche it to get rid of any scum. Then you pat it dry. Then you put it back into the wok, with spices like star anise, cinnamon, 5 spice, and soy sauce to really get that caramelization. And then she would put chestnuts in there, and then salted duck egg yolk. You can see how then later, bringing this all together, it's
Yeah.
basically a little parcel
Okay.
of the bamboo leaf stuffed with the rice on the bottom, and then stuffed with all the elements, the salted duck egg yolk, the chestnuts, and the braised pork belly, and then the raw rice, with the 5-spice infusion, and then wrapped
Gosh.
each one.
That sounds like a little dumpling of love. Like how much love and intention and detail has gone into what you've just described. And to think of your grandmother doing that. I mean, I come from a family as well that we're like feeders. Like I cannot cook like you, Ching, on any level. But there is such a feeling when you provide someone that you love food. There's something in it, isn't there?
Oh,
Just about sitting around and having something beautiful food together with people that you love. Like it's so much more than just eating, isn't it?
it is. You're sharing the love.
Yeah.
You are showing that you care, and you're expressing, the deepest part of you to fill you up, to fill your soul. It is soul food. It's not just, sustenance, especially when, it's a special occasion, special festival. You go all out, you're preparing for hours. The only way, because it's such hard work,
Yeah.
you have to really love it and to infuse the love. Go back to my grandmother, her dumplings, those bamboo wrapped glutinous rice dumplings, 粽子, no one in my extended family can recreate them.
Oh, wow.
To that, because we have the recipe, but
Yeah.
when we eat it, it's like, doesn't taste the same.
Something's missing.
Something's missing. It's
Yeah.
grandma's energy. That's what's missing.
I love when you talk as well about food. I don't know if you've noticed this, but when you start talking about food, your hands really start moving. It's like you're in the kitchen again.
It is. I can't help but use my hands.
Ching, I don't know if you're going to remember this. So, do you remember when we first met?
Yes.
So it was
in the bar.
Yes, but we were going to. So it was an event
Party.
So King Charles and Camilla. All I remember is being at this beautiful event and being introduced to you and meeting you for the very first time. And we sat next to each other at dinner. And I honestly think people walked past us and probably thought that we were long lost friends catching up after a very, very long time. And I don't know if you remember this, but we got into a really, really very quick, deep conversation about gut health.
Yes, I remember.
And I was like, I go to a farm, and you were telling me about stock and broths and all sorts. And I was just like, anyone else on the table would have thought, what are they both going on about? But there was such a love. And I think I'm really, really passionate about good quality food, clean eating. And when you meet someone that's on that same wavelength, you just can't stop talking. And I know that eating well, using good ingredients is such an important part of what you do as well, isn't it?
I remember that conversation, really, because I felt so bad we ignored everyone else. But those are the best conversations to have.
I agree.
Yeah, because you shared your love about your son and how, to make him feel 100%, raring to go.
Yeah.
It's about good quality, fresh ingredients and healthy food.
There's that saying, Ching, let food be thy medicine. And food can also be so healing.
I believe, the energy part is one part. The rest of it, absolutely, it's chemistry. All the doctors now, I'm not a scientist or a doctor, but I do know, and you know from your experience from helping your son, and I know because from firsthand, I've also had health issues, and I have managed to heal them through food. And I think this is something that people are now, even ever more than before, starting to realize the power of food, the power of eating well, and to understand what does that really mean and what does that look like. Our gut is our second brain.
Oh, gosh, absolutely.
What we put into our bodies has an effect. We have a coffee. We feel the effects of the caffeine straight away. So why wouldn't it be any different? You have a glass of wine, you feel tipsy, same thing.
Over lockdown, I started growing at home broccoli sprouts. And we had broccoli sprouts coming out of every corner.
Amazing.
But then reality hit again, and then it just got difficult to then keep on top of it. But I think when you do have time, if you can just have those little sacred things that you do, it makes such a difference. I mean, there's so much out there now about perimenopause and menopause. I mean, everywhere you go now, there's someone's telling you to do this and that. But sometimes I just think there's not enough emphasis on the food that women are eating as well. And it's just, I think if there was a message without being a doctor, it would just be mindful of what you're eating. And I think, back in, like, you talk about your grandmother or my grandmothers or their grandmothers, I have visions of them like with this little basket getting like fresh food and eggs, and they'd have to replenish that quite quickly. Whereas today, we can go stock up for a year if we really wanted and buy all the freezer food that we want that's full of additives and preservatives. And it's such a different consumer market now. But that also means that what we're eating and what we're putting inside our body and the effects that they're having is very silent. Like, no one really, really talks about it.
Yeah, it's difficult because we're all human, right?
Mm.
And being on top of your health, it's difficult when you have when you go into a supermarket and you're distracted by all those other delicious things, but they aren't really food. So, real food is pretty much that fresh food aisle, just a couple of those aisles, with the fresh meat and the fish. And everything else is pretty much, dead food. It doesn't really have much nutritional value.
Yeah.
And it's not really going to sustain you or give you the micronutrients that you want, all the good stuff.
Yeah.
And so I think it's really important that people realize that actually, yes, you can have really delicious food. And I'm a double bacon cheeseburger kind of girl on my birthday, with salted caramel milkshake.
Oh, nice.
That's my favorite thing. But to realize that is a treat. And when you have that and it's occasional, that also gives you the happy vibes. You're like really, really enjoying it.
Yeah.
But you know that it's not an everyday food. And the same thing when I was trying to get people to eat Chinese cuisine and to fall in love with it. People are like, oh, I love Chinese food. But you know what? You can't, it's unhealthy. And of course, there's, it depends what you order. Yes, you can't eat takeaway food or fast food every day. You're going to have bad health. But occasionally, fine. But Chinese food and Asian cuisine, it's founded on freshness. It's yin and yang qualities, yin yang, what we call in Mandarin, with ingredients. And it's knowing how to balance foods that you eat at any one time so you yourself feel balanced and happy. And you can go and do the work you want to do. That is, in essence, at the heart of it. Nothing is easier than a stir fry. Fresh ingredients. You're talking about fresh vegetables, tiny little bit of oil, and just a few seasoning ingredients. Natural fermented ingredients, and it's great. You can eat well and quickly and with ease, and that's also good for you and good for your gut. So all those things you mentioned about, the gut being healthy is absolutely crucial for long-term sustained health. I mean, the thing is, everything in life is difficult. Trying to be healthy, trying to exercise more, trying to get enough sleep, trying to eat well and be on top of your diet. Everything is hard work. And I think as a society in general, we're so reliant on easy fixes. Oh, this drink, it's got a hit of caffeine.
Yeah.
Great, I'll take it. This, I'll just take a supplement of this because it's going to take my pain away. I think with everything, we need to get down to the root cause in order to learn and think, okay, well, maybe this is not good for me and I'm going to try a different way.
I think the thing is, Ching, if you see it in a supermarket, you assume, well, it must be good for me or it must be safe to eat or drink, because otherwise they surely wouldn't sell it. Even for the younger generation now, I feel like it's a little bit like Instagram and Facebook, whether you're just doom scrolling, everything's so instant. It's like literally now a touch of a button. Oh, I fancy pizza, Uber Eats, whatever it might be, it's there. It's instant. Like even a takeout back in the day was a treat. Whereas now it's so accessible that I do worry about our next generation. And as a mother, I feel a huge amount of pressure on getting the balance right. Like you talk about that lovely, juicy burger with cheese and that caramel milkshake. And it's about allowing moments where you can have that, but then trying to educate, I think, has been the biggest thing for me, the children, of trying to understand why it's so important to fuel your body with the right foods when you've got so much noise. The minute you step out the door, thrown out everywhere you look, there's something new coming out. And if you're hungry, you just want to go grab the first thing that you see. And it's really, really tough. So I think there's a lot of work that needs to be done there.
Absolutely. And you know what? It needs to, in my personal experience, it needs to be done at school.
Yeah.
Via the education system. I think recently someone shared with me that in Japan, they had this huge shift. I think maybe 2 decades ago, or maybe longer, where they realized that actually they can't have a whole generation of children growing up without knowing how to eat healthy, how to cook healthily for themselves, and how to cook for each other, because that moment is a moment of sharing and taking care of everyone else.
Oh, absolutely. I think that's one of the things they cut away the minute they can is food tech. And I think also it alleviates that pressure on mothers as well. Like you said earlier, everyone's trying to be the best they can be. So if they're working, they're trying to be the best employee, they're trying to be the best wife, be there for the children and the homework, then prepare the freshest meals with the freshest ingredients. I mean, it's like, hello, we're not superwomen. Like, how do you do all of this? There's a lot of pressure. And actually, if we can have support from, for example, schools to help educate our young children, that gives us a little bit of a break and helping hand too.
Absolutely. And I think, I don't have kids. So, it's easy for me to say some of these things. But actually, I personally believe that the government is, got to be part responsible for this. It just has to be, for a healthy population going forward, and we have such a big obesity crisis, that actually it's a no-brainer. It should be in the school curricula. And, you could even have days where, the parents and the kids do some of the activities together. Just like you have sports days, why don't you have, food cooking days? That would be so helpful for everybody. And it will definitely help the next generation, because then it takes the pressure off of families, parents. Fundamental. You know what my grandmother used to say to me? Before she passed, she said, I don't understand how anyone cannot know how to cook. Because, how can you be a decent human being if you don't even know how to feed yourself?
It's such an essential tool, isn't it?
It's essential. And I think, now you can have AI, you can have this and that. But can AI cook you food? Well, yes, you can have robots cooking. They're stirring.
It's not going to have your grandmother's love in it.
It's not going to have any ounce of love.
Yeah, exactly.
And probably a little bit putting too much, all sorts of other ingredients you don't want in your stir fries. We're not going to go there. But I'm sorry, food should be accessible to all.
When we talk about women in midlife, we're always talking about hormones. But actually, our hormones also dictate our cravings, don't they?
The week before your period, you are craving sugar, you're craving carbs, and it'll just come from nowhere.
And then it's just a vicious circle.
And it becomes a vicious circle. So, you know that actually the more sugar you eat, the more it's addictive and the more you want to eat. And actually, when you do a whole 2-week sugar detox, let's say, you just naturally don't really feel like having.
So what's your sweet fix? So if it was coming up to the time of the month and you were craving something sweet, if you stopped consciously and thought, right, I acknowledge that actually I'm really dying for sugar here, but no, I'm not going to reach for this. I'm going to reach for this instead. What would that be?
Okay. Since growing up, I've had a fixation with, I'm going to say Twix. I love a Twix. It's that caramel, that crunchy, that milk chocolate.
The combo.
But I'm like, no Ching. Don't go there. It's too dangerous. Mars bars as well. Oh, this is my sin. But instead now I go for really good dark chocolate. So like the 70%,
Yep.
if it's with mint,
Yep.
I don't know if it's from Ecuador, I don't care. As long as it's the good stuff, that's what I'll have. So I'll limit myself to like 2 or 3 cubes.
Yep.
And then I'll feel satisfied. So it's taken a long time to retrain these taste buds.
And your palate, yeah.
And my palate.
I'm with you on that. And I think 70% hits the spot. If I go any higher in percentage on dark chocolate, it just gets so bitter. It just doesn't taste like it's not doing anything for me at all. So for me, it's the same. My dark chocolate, but then I'll have berries and maybe some like cashew nuts or something with it. And I'll have it in a tiny little bowl and I'll eat it so slowly. Like I'll literally savor it. Yeah. Just start to make some swaps, especially as they're going through perimenopause, menopause, where hormones are then, they're not doing what they do on their usual monthly cycle. They're going left, right, up, down, all over the place. You can't really track those patterns. So having some really little hacks and go-tos, I think, are really, really crucial.
I was just going to add to that, say that actually, since, on this hormone, since sort of feeling perimenopausal, I actually think cutting out caffeine, coffee, it honestly, my sleep has improved so much. So now it's just decaf, 1 decaf that I limit myself to, and a good quality decaf, and not after 12 o'clock. And actually my sleep is much better.
Oh, wow.
And also another thing, if you want a good clean gut, pineapple. Fresh pineapple. So, in Asia, in China, when we eat afterwards, we don't really have pudding or dessert. We eat fruit. So an abundance, a plate of fruit, select what you want. And actually pineapple, I found, is fantastic. It really does break down anything in the gut.
Yeah, that is a really good little trick. And I didn't know that. For anyone listening, that doesn't include pineapple juice. You can imagine people stocking up on pineapple juice because that's filled with extra sugars and everything. But actually, that sounds really...
Fresh pineapple.
Yeah, that sounds lovely, actually.
It's no longer, I think, an apple a day keeps the doctor away. I actually think because of the way we eat so much food and a lot of bread, heavy gluten ingredients, noodles, pasta, bread, have a pineapple.
Give it a helping hand and help break them down.
It'll break things down. Because the smoother things are down there, the less issues you're going to have. And also it's linked to the heart as well. I mean, I'm not a gut doctor by any means, but this is just from personal experience.
And it's so important, I think, from one woman to another to share things that do work for each other, that are natural. And, it's all natural and it's all, there's no harms. Give it a go. Again, looking at that little girl watching her grandmother make these beautiful dumplings filled with love. You're standing there receiving your MBE. You have all these incredible cookbooks that you have launched that have become best-selling. Can you talk me to Ching today? And actually, your grandmother looking down at you, how proud she would be of all your achievements.
You're going to make me cry.
You should be so proud.
Oh,
you really, really should. Like, your story is incredible.
Thank you. It means a lot. It means a lot to me. Receiving the MBE was just, a big surprise. We always feel like, oh, I'm not worthy. I'm not deserving. And I felt like that. But it was a very proud moment for me and my family. And, I was over the moon. And to receive it from Princess Anne, like, wow, it's just incredible. I was so honored, deeply honored. And I still have these pinch me moments, when I see my name and those 3 letters, like you, I mean, Miss OBE.
But no, let's carry on with you.
I know, I deflect because I'm not good at talking about my achievements. But, it is deeply humbling and I'm just humbled, honored. And I pinch myself every day. And you go and you do your best. And then when someone else says, I see you. I see you and what you've done. I mean, I was in tears after receiving my MBE. I mean, after it went on and I walked out, literally floods, because, it's a very humbling moment to receive that. And such a beautiful ceremony. And everyone is there for you to recognize you. They've laid out the carpet, they've they've polished the medals, they've put your name next. You feel so overwhelmed with joy. It is honestly an incredible, overwhelming.
The journey so many people take, and that moment that you've just explained, like you in the kitchen with your grandmother and you standing there, and the journey that I've been on, like it's not easy. It's often a life story
Yeah.
that you've gone out there and you're also trying to change lives of others. And I think that's so powerful. And you know that I adore you as my friend anyway, but I'm really, honestly, when I started this and I said I feel so proud when I switch on the TV and I see you there doing your thing, because you have been on such a journey. And I think the other thing, Ching, is you can look back at the women in your life, but you can also be a change maker. You can also be the woman in the family that changes direction a little bit, that is fearless, creates a new legacy. And I'm sure that there's some women listening here that think, oh, I could never write cookbook, or oh, I could never get that restaurant, or I could never get, oh, look at them talking about their MBE and OBE, like that couldn't be me. But I absolutely can, for every woman, can't it? Like if you believe it, then you can achieve it.
100%. Darling, 100%. I know that emotion that you feel comes from a place of deep love,
Yeah.
deep love for the world, for society, for yourself. And it's the hope that you carry, because you want to see everyone, be at their best. We are blessed to learn every day. So not get too above ourselves.
No,
like
that's
my
so-
my
yeah.
grandmother's like, oh, you cooked that dish? You think that's good? I don't think so.
Yeah. Keep your feet on the ground. Remain
Stay
humble,
grounded.
but reach for the stars, which is in fact something I've always said to my daughter. Keep your feet on the ground, stay humble, but reach for the stars. And I think that's such a beautiful thing if you can do both. Never forget, who you are. And if being grounded, I think is just so crucial to having such a healthy, happy life. And what you just said, Ching, as well, I think, we only all get one life, right? And I feel like for some women in midlife, this is the second chapter. And I'm sure you'll agree with me. You get to a point in life where actually you might look in the mirror and think, okay, I look a little bit different. But you've reached a point where you have more wisdom, more knowledge, more confidence, more experience than any other time in your life, like this present moment. If there is something that you have wanted to do and you've not done it, now is the time to go and do it. Right?
100%.
I grab it and just go do it now.
You know what? When Nike said just do it, they've got to be a sponsor for your show now. I mean, just do it. Yeah. I mean, literally, there's no time to waste. Just do it. Don't second guess yourself. Honor the time. The most valuable thing that I've realized getting older is time.
Insight, it's people's stories, it's experience, because Ching, we're in a moment in time where there is information overload. Like we've got ChatGPT now, like anything we want, there is information. If we want it, it's out there. But actually it's those real life, insightful stories, experience, sharing with each other, finding your little tribe, lifting each other. I mean, that is the absolute beauty, I think. I'm really big on affirmations. Some people find them cheesy, some find them a little bit cringy. Other people live by them and have daily affirmations. I think I came to a point, Ching, where I was really struggling at one point in my journey. I've never wanted to ever be a victim to any situation, ever, ever, ever. And I found myself drowning a little bit. And I came across this quote, which just hit me so hard in that moment, and it has stuck with me forever. And so from that, affirmations have become a really big thing. And the quote said, when life puts you in tough situations, don't say, why me? Just say, try me. And for me, in that moment of time, it made me going from this to this. Come on then, let's go. So when I have moments where I dip sometimes. I tell myself, no, come on. I am strong. I can do this. I am courageous. So for me, affirmations are really powerful. And I just wanted to know for you, do you have any or one in particular that really stands out and is meaningful to you?
There's so many.
I know.
I'm addicted to reading as much of these affirmations as possible.
Are you?
I know, but I love yours. Try me.
Yeah.
I think mine is similar to yours in the sense that, if I'm knocked for six, if I get a bad news, things are not going the way that I would like. I'm a control freak. You want things to happen your way. And if they don't, I just say, thank you. I think I'm resigned now.
Mm-hmm.
I just say, you know what, thank you. I mean, it's a lesson.
Mm-hmm.
There's something for me to learn here. And so every day I'm trying to walk around saying thank you. Someone knocks my drink over, well, thank you. If there was someone, and I'm like, because you know what I have actually learned is that when I've taken a step back from the things that I thought that I wanted, actually, they were never for me. And I have to say thank you for that.
Yeah, even when it hurts, right?
Even when it hurts, because actually, we all have a energy and we all have a higher power. And actually, and I believe in that intuition. I believe that gut, that's why you got to feed it pure things. Otherwise it's radar's not going to work.
Gut instinct.
Gut instinct. And it's like, well, you know what? There's a reason why it's pushing you away from that. Well, there's a lesson here to be learned. Maybe you're not ready. Maybe this is not meant for you. Maybe you need to go away and do some more homework, And I think the other thing is comparison is the thief of all joy. And I think
gosh.
Yeah. And I think these days, on social media or whatever, it's very easy to be, especially if you tend to be a perfectionist kind of personality, because sometimes we value ourselves based on the achievement.
Yeah, I agree.
You think, oh, well, I'm not worthy. I haven't achieved that. No, I mean, you're a work of art. To be still alive at, mid-40s, having family around you. These are all things that actually make us put things into perspective of what's real.
And it takes it back to your 2 words, actually, Ching, which is thank you.
Thank you.
How grateful am I to actually live another day, to experience this moment, to have a loving family. I agree that there's always someone that looks like they're doing something better, or you can compare yourself. But if you actually stop and take a moment and feel so absorbed in your own gratefulness for everything you have, how content do you feel? Thank you for sharing that. I think those words are so powerful. I'm not sure I've tried it if someone's like spilt coffee on me, but next time they do, I would think of you, Ching. My last question to you, and this is a really big question, or important one to me, because like I said, I'm not this fantastic cook, but something I do love is brunch on a Saturday. And I always put jazz on.
I love
that
jazz.
Saturday morning jazz is my thing if I'm making, and I like to open the windows and get things ready for the kids, and it's just a real big exciting part for me. When I think of you in your kitchen, cooking away, in your happy place, is there a song that you play that just lifts you even higher?
Yeah, absolutely. You know what? It's a Friday night for me.
Oh, is it?
When I get to a Friday night, I'm like, okay, I've had the week and now it's just me. So for me, Friday nights, it's Sway. It's Sway by Dean Martin. And I'm like there, I'm dancing. I don't care what I'm cooking. I don't care how good it tastes. Even if it's takeaway.
Yeah.
That music goes on and I'm just in my happy place. I just forget about the week and this and that and life and whatever.
Thank you so much.
It's a pleasure, darling.
Yeah.
Thank you for having me.
Ching, thank you for being here and bringing your full, beautiful self. This conversation has reminded us all that it's never too late to become who we were always meant to be. And that even in the messiest moments, we can find meaning, magic, and movement. Because when one woman chooses to heal, to rise, to rewrite her story, she's not just changing her life, she's changing the legacy. To everyone listening, this is your whisper, your gentle nudge, your moment. It's your time.